If you're looking to move to Mexico, the first thing to understand is that there's no official digital nomad visa and no official retirement visa. These are terms used by bloggers and YouTubers, not by Mexican immigration authorities. Everyone, whether you're a remote worker, a retiree, or an investor, has to apply through one of two categories, the temporary resident visa or the permanent resident visa. In this video, we'll walk you through both of these and what they require as of mid-2026. We'll also talk about how the process works and what people are saying about the experience on the ground. First off, there are two separate categories, the temporary resident visa and the permanent resident visa. The temporary resident visa is the one that most people use. It covers remote workers, early retirees, and anyone who wants to live in Mexico for 1 to 4 years before deciding whether they want to stay permanently or not. To qualify, you need to show either a monthly income of about $4,400 or savings of about $74,000 held for 12 months. So you can't simply move money around right before you apply. These figures are tied to a Mexican economic index called the UMA, and they're recalculated every year, so treat them as the 2026 benchmark, not a fixed number. The permanent resident visa is slightly different. If you apply for it directly from outside of Mexico, the requirement is significantly higher, requiring roughly $7,300 a month in income or about $294,000 in savings. This direct route is largely limited to retirees and pensioners, and if you're working age, the standard path to permanent residency is to hold a temporary residency for 4 years and then convert. At that point, there's usually no new financial requirements. There are also investment-based routes, but these only lead to temporary residency, not permanent residency. You can qualify by owning Mexican real estate worth about $598,000 with no liens, or by investing about $300,000 into a Mexican company. Mexico does not have a golden visa program, and buying property does not automatically grant you residency. If you marry a Mexican citizen or have a Mexican child, there's a family unit category with a much lower financial requirement, and it can shorten your path to citizenship to 2 years instead of 5. This is something to consider if your spouse is a Mexican citizen. And if you're only visiting as a tourist, you have to understand that the 180-day tourist permit is a maximum, not a guarantee, and immigration officers are increasingly granting shorter stays to people who repeatedly enter and exit without applying for residency. To apply for a visa, you can start at a Mexican consulate in your home country, not inside Mexico. You book your appointment, you bring your financial documents, typically 6 to 12 months of bank or income statements, and anything else that's required. Be sure to stay up to date on your specific consulate's published requirements to ensure that you bring the correct documentation and you meet the income thresholds. Figures and formats change and vary by location. At the consulate, you will attend an interview, and if approved, you receive a visa sticker in your passport that's valid for about 6 months and allows one entry into Mexico. Once you arrive in Mexico, you have 30 days to complete what is called a canje, an exchange process at a Mexican immigration office. This is where you submit more paperwork, pay a fee, and provide biometric data. If you miss the 30-day window, you may have to restart the process from outside of the country. After this, you receive your residency card, usually within a few weeks. 2 things to know about cost. Consulate application fees are around $55, and immigration card fees inside Mexico roughly doubled at the start of 2026, so a 1-year resident card is now about $610. A 4-year resident card costs about $1,370. If you qualify for the multi-year card, it's generally more efficient to apply for it up front rather than renewing annually. Now, what do people actually say about these visas on the ground? The most consistent complaint is that consulates are inconsistent. Requirements, accepted document formats, and how strictly the requirement rule is enforced for permanent residency can vary from one consulate to another. Some consulates accept printed bank statements, others require original stamped documentation. The advice repeated across different expat communities is to contact your specific consulate directly and read the published requirements before you prepare anything. When it comes to living in Mexico, most established expat areas, including Mexico City and Puerto Vallarta, are generally considered safe for daily living, while petty theft is the more common concern rather than serious crime. The U.S. State Department rates most of the country at a moderate advisory level, and a small number of states have high-level warnings. Location matters, and doing your research on the specific region that you're considering is important. A few practical things to consider. If you plan to spend more than 183 days a year in Mexico, you will become a Mexican tax resident on your worldwide income regardless of what visa you hold. So you should understand your tax obligations in Mexico and your home country accordingly. If you want to buy property near a coastline or a border, or in what is called a restricted zone, you cannot hold the title directly as a foreigner, and you'll have to use a special bank trust called a fideicomiso instead. And as a legal resident, you become eligible to enroll in Mexico's public health system, although most expats carry private insurance. So to conclude, in Mexico there are 2 categories of visas you can potentially apply to, the temporary resident visa and the permanent resident visa. Any route that you take to qualify, whether income, savings, or investment, can lead to one of them, and the financial requirements for these rose in 2026. If you prepare properly, the paperwork is manageable, and the biggest variable is not the law itself, but which consulate you happen to be dealing with. Overall, Mexico can be a good place to live for many people, as it offers a very good quality of life at a reasonable price, and is close to North America in terms of travel and connections. If you found this video informative, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more information about expat visas and living and investing abroad.